natural. And I've regretted it ever since.
Yeah.
Feels much. How was the rest of your change? Show me, please. I don't think I should wear a sweatshirt. Thanks, John, for everything. You're doing a great job getting it up.
Yep.
Okay, John, I'm going to give this back to you, but I think I've got it fairly well balanced.
Okay.
From what I was hearing just now, but you'll tweak it.
Yeah, and I'll tweak it for the live stream as well.
Okay, great. I'm leaving it on the table.
Okay.
Thanks so much for your work. It
Yep,
sounds great.
no problem. There's a dump room basically.
James, you said cabaret, so I went cabaret.
And you don't need to stay up all night planning the
The black.
renovation.
Yeah.
That's why you couldn't sleep it.
Correct. Not your alarm. Not your alarm.
What I'm most looking forward to is changing that heat.
It's gonna, I feel already, I'm gonna be like finicking or fudging with like this, but
But
yeah.
the other option is we move this to the side.
Then I feel like I started like that, but then I was like this the whole time.
Here's my
Move the mic to the side. Yep. And do one of these.
Does it block pages at all?
Not horribly.
I might do the same thing, and then it blocks less. Okay,
Yeah, is that good?
much better.
Fine, let's do that.
I'm gonna do
Good.
that.
Thanks, Lexa.
Of course.
I didn't want. I originally had the mic straight on and then the music to the side, but I felt like I was like looking.
That's much
so,
better,
yeah.
because
Right.
then it's still, the mic is still straight on.
That's smart.
Smart.
Yeah, those mics have a pretty decent reach.
That's great.
For the reason of the TST soloists and
Oh, so
choir,
smart.
'cause they always are afraid of the microphone.
Okay.
We got the lab mics right here for whomever is.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And I will adjust them on the fly, I guess.
Great.
It
Yeah.
may not be perfect, but
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go over stuff, okay?
does this need to go in the back?
Yeah, we should put that in the back. I'm gonna wait, I'm actually still.
Good evening, friends. Welcome, everybody. I know people are still coming in. Feel free to come in and take a seat. So grateful you guys are all here, and also want to give a shout out to anyone in New York or LA or anywhere else watching on the live stream. It is a point of so much pride to welcome all of you here for this concert production of Autopilot. And for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Hollis Schachner, I'm the cantor here. It is an unbelievable privilege to be in friendship and deep admiration of Lexi Weekly, who is our very own rock star. So let's have a big round of applause for those of you who know Lexi Weekly. So just one word of backdrop to how this all came about. So many years ago, like pre-COVID years ago, my best friend from cantorial school, who is Cantor Allison Wiener-Wissett at Temple Judea in Tarzana, called me and said, my beloved, beloved, beloved protege is coming to Berkeley and she needs a synagogue home. So when we thought we were just taking Lexi in, what actually ended up happening is Lexi joined our community as our song leader and changed our culture of music here indelibly and beautifully. So when you see our kids singing their hearts out on Sunday mornings, it really started with Lexi in this space, helping them feel overjoyed with music on Sunday mornings and prayer, picking up on partners like Jonathan Zarkauer and with me, but creating her own thumbprint on this community that's very, very deep. And carried us all through COVID and back into the program that we have today. So we owe Lexi a huge debt on the Jewish music front, but all that time, Lexi was studying musical theater composition at Berkeley, and this is her third musical that is now seeing daylight and production. It is, and I want to get the language right, because all musicals that you see, there are lots of steps on the way from concept to writing to produced in places like New York. And this is a show that is in a stage of development that is on its way to transfer to New York at some point. So we're excited to see where this goes, which means that you guys have an opportunity to be in at the ground level as an amazing work, and I was listening in rehearsals, it's blowing my mind, is beginning to be heard, developed, shown to the world. So there'll be a concert followed by a little bit of a talk back where you'll be able to ask questions, and Lexi will be able to share a little bit of her process with you. And we can all be so proud to say we knew her when, and to say we saw this when, because wherever this goes, you're now a part of this journey too. So with that, I want to just take a quick second to thank Lexi, along with her teammates and performers from New York, Zal Owen and Jeremy Jacobs, who have come up to be a part of it, and then with the ensemble from Berklee School of Music, who are here as well. So this is a stellar cast of incredible musicians, and we are so very blessed. A quick shout out of thanks to Marissa Brockman, who did so much work behind the scenes to make sure that we're all here this evening, and also to John Legg for making sure everyone is seen and heard beautifully. So enough of me. I want to say thank you and welcome to Lexi and her team for Autopilot.
This is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard and settle in. This is your captain speaking. Now the lights will start to dim. See, the exit doors are clearly marked. As we embark, I'll be your guide. It might be a bumpy ride.
Will you face the part that's gone, or just ignore and soldier on? Pretend you never even knew a life like that before.
And soon you'll take the ride to learn what happens when you bury things inside. I'm here to take command. You'll come to understand by the time we land. This is your captain speaking. This is your captain speaking. Forge ahead or choose another route.
When all you know is over in a blink, how do you think? How do you choose?
The next right
The
thing,
next right
the next right thing to do.
Do you stop in your tracks as you brace for the impact?
And you follow the exit signs, or do you take off instead and blindly forge ahead without hesitation as the plane declines? Will you face the part that's gone, or just ignore and soldier on? Pretend you never even knew a life like that before. Will you stop and feel the wind as the turbulence shakes you from within? Leave the lost behind. Is that the reason why you left me in the sky? Something behind. Will you face the part that's gone, or just ignore and soldier on? Pretend you never even knew a life like that before. Will you stop and feel the wind? Let the turbulence shake you from within, or leave the lost behind. Is that the reason why?
Is that the reason
you
why
left me in the sky?
Face the part that's gone, or just ignore and soldier on. Pretend you never
Donald Schwartz, a senior captain for TWA in the 1950s to 1960s, seems to have everything he could ever want. But after a life-changing accident, his family is left with the choice to face their emotions head-on or erase the past and go on autopilot.
For those of you who may not know me, my name is Lexi Weekly. I'm a musical theater writer based in New York, but I'm also a Jewish musician who spent most of my formative years here at Temple Shir Tikva, as Hollis was just saying. While working here as the song leader during my time at Berklee, this truly became my home away from home. And I'm so honored to bring this project back to this special place and share this story with my extended family here. I'm so grateful and honored to share the stage with some incredible performers. I'd like to introduce Zal Owen, who will be singing for the role of Donald Schwartz, our group of 8 incredible singers from Berklee College of Music and Boston Conservatory at Berklee College of Music, and Jeremy Jacobs, our incredible music director, who has not only helped teach all the music, but has also made some wonderful additions to the score and has written all of the arrangements you're hearing tonight. I'd also like to thank Jack Richmond, all the way back in the corner, who has helped our music directing on the Berklee side of things. Our team was in New York, and so we needed our Boston team to have a wonderful music director, and thank you to Jack for doing that for us. Tonight, you'll hear a selection of music and scenes from Autopilot. This show explores themes of grief, mental health, and Jewish identity, which are so relevant now more than ever. At its core, this is a story of hope that begs the question, how should we deal with the past? How do the ways in which we process our feelings impact the people around us? And what happens when we make the choice to face the truth?
Don has done all he can to avoid his family. His overbearing Jewish mother and nosy sister just want the best for Don, but the only thing he wants to do is remove his Jewish identity and the weight that it carries. So he chooses to pursue his dream and, quite literally, fly away from his past. High in the air, the ground getting blurry, looking as we approach the clouds. People down there, all in a hurry. Here I can stay in the now. Set it all free, all that I carried, letting my baggage stay behind. Here I can be, troubles are buried, moments of bliss in the sky. The little boy I knew is fading from view. I'm moving forward, I hear the distance calling, a risk worth taking. I'm not afraid of falling, it's what I have to do to leave the life I knew all along. Up there it's safe and sound. I'm happiest when I'm amongst the clouds. Forget the past, unfair expectations. This is my chance to start anew. Freedom at last, new foundation, the life I need to pursue. Picking up speed, don't think about landing, you'll end up where you're meant to be. Sometimes you'll need a new understanding of what lies beyond your reach. I'm moving forward, I hear the distance calling, a risk worth taking. I'm not afraid of falling, it's what I have to do to leave the life I knew all along. Up there it's safe and sound, and I'm happiest when I'm amongst the clouds. Their pride and joy, her precious boy, the apple of her eye. But I can't stay confined that way, I need to fly. I have to fly. I'm moving forward, I hear the distance calling, a risk worth taking. I'm not afraid of falling, it's what I have to do to leave believe the life I knew all along. Up there it's safe and sound, and I'm happiest when I'm amongst the clouds. I'm safest when I'm amongst the clouds.
On her first flight as a stewardess for TWA, Betty meets Eleanor, a senior flight attendant who can show Betty the ropes. There's an instant spark, though, when Betty meets Dawn, the captain for her first flight. But Betty's journey began with a different dream. I've always had this fantasy to be a movie star on the screen. I'd live in a mansion, a real-life beauty queen, a fantasy. Grew up next to nowhere, little town, a homecoming queen with my baton to twirl around. I knew that I'd be gone, moving up and moving out to find that dream. White picket fence, a tended lawn, just like a picture show. Left Norma Jean in that small town to be like Marilyn Monroe. Left all of that behind me, took a risk to let that go. Now look at me with the picture perfect life. I thought I had the looks and upper hand, so I went out on auditions like I had always planned. Had one stint roller skating on American Bandstand. It was a dream that led to the next and then the next. I just kept on thinking, how could I be this blessed? Had yet one more audition, they said I was the best for a different dream. A little skirt, a cute beret, with gloves like Miss Monroe, pouring drinks for handsome men who sit in every row. I give a wink and smile, every flight's a different show. That's starring me, it's a picture perfect life. I'll make sure that my makeup is just right, so that I'll be noticed on every single flight. Maybe have a captain to keep me warm at night. Live a life of glamour, now I think that might be the dream. White picket fence, a tended lawn, but 10 years down the line, after seeing all the world, living life by my design, end up with a captain who treats me so divine. Oh yes, I dream, oh what a dream, that picture perfect life.
I keep liking you more, Betty Milstead.
Oh yeah?
I can't wait to take you around the world.
New York, Cincinnati, jet setting across the USA.
Flying Vegas to Paris, flying high with TWA.
Living a life, living at large. Drink champagne, run up the hotel charge.
Flying high with TWA.
Every day a new city, get your picture show or a baseball game. back in New York, and then it's more of the same. Catch a flight, you're riding it high.
Catch the eyes of every guy, flying high with TWA.
TWA, 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 TWA,
New York, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, LA, and Washington, D.C., Boston, Chicago, Paris, and Sydney, London, St. Louis, and Mexico City, Baltimore, Cairo, Shanghai, Vienna, Liverpool, Bucharest, Rome, Kansas City, Athens, and Brussels, and Warsaw, and Seoul, Manchester, Rio, Berlin, Beijing, Tokyo, New York,
back Cincinnati. Catch a Reds game and a nice cold beer.
always root for the home team. It's almost as if we live here.
Nights on the town with things to see. What could be better now that we are flying high with TWA, TWA, TWA.
We're flying high with
TWA, TWA, TWA.
We're flying high with TWA.
St. Louis is not a bad layover.
No, I've had worse.
Oh.
Frank and I had a night in Chicago once. It started with a drink, then a poker room. I almost lost my wings.
But you didn't.
Full house.
Well done.
You look beautiful in the sunset. 32 flights, 21 cities. You look great in all of them.
You've been counting our flights.
I haven't been able to stop thinking about you.
Is that so?
It is. I'm new to all this, being with someone like this. It's been really great to have you flying with me, is what I'm trying to say. I like having you with me. Big arch.
Yes, it is.
How is Eleanor?
Very happy. She told me Frank slipped in a question about ring size.
He's not very subtle.
Neither is she. I think it could be it for them. They seem so perfect for each other.
Would you like to settle down soon?
I love flying, but every so often I do dream of it. A house with a freshly trimmed lawn and a lemon tree out front. Imagine the smell of fresh lemons, a beautiful bowl on the kitchen table, a perfect display.
I want the lemons in the bowl.
What?
Can it be that way? I want to spend a life with you where each and every day, until we grow old, we make fresh lemonade. What do you say? I want the lemons in the bowl. Look at us in this very moment. See us here, talking, walking by. What a night as we gaze into the sunset underneath the velvet sky. I think of what could be if I had you and you had me, and we were free to be two hearts as one. I want the lemons in the bowl. It can be that way. I want to spend a life with you where each and every day, until we grow old, we make fresh lemonade. Oh, what do you say?
Look at us and how this all has happened. I can't deny my unrelenting smile, moving faster than I could ever have imagined. All the while I think of what could be if I had you and you had me, and I could trust that you might be the one.
I want the lemons be that way. I want to spend a life with you where each and every day, until we grow old, we make fresh lemonade. What do you say? I want the lemons in the bowl.
I hope you know I wanted to. Oh yes, I know I wanted to. I want to spend my
I'll
life
spend my life with you. I want the lemons in the bowl. It will be that way. I want to spend a life with you where each and every day, until we grow old, we make fresh lemonade. What do you say? I want the lemons in the bowl.
I want it, I want it.
I want the lemons in the bowl.
I want the lemons in the bowl.
I want the lemons in the bowl. I want the lemons in the bowl. Very quickly, Don and Betty take the opportunity to get married, a decision that comes to the surprise of Don's Jewish mother, Jean, and sister Cynthia, who haven't yet even been invited to meet Betty before this. This is Don's clear attempt to separate his family from the new family he is trying to build, his more subtle attempt to separate himself from the Jewish identity he was so ashamed of.
During Betty's first time meeting Don's family, Don makes the announcement that he will be moving away from his family and will be joining the military, as TWA has not been doing well. Once again, Betty and Don jump on the opportunity to separate themselves from the ties that ground them and reinvent themselves in their new life together. Taking off, feel the tailwind speeding us up as we hold on tight, lifting off as we forge a new direction. It's all new, new horizons come into view. All the things that we want to do when we reach our next connection. And look what's happened, seatbelts staying fastened as we leave the past behind for a future redefined. See our destination, feel a new sensation while we're picking up speed, and it's all that I need.
Now we're climbing high in this life together. The clouds are rearranging, and clear blue skies we can see forever. All we need is coming true, and I'm glad my co-pilot is you.
Where we land, so much better than what we planned. Trust the wind and give up command. Don't make it complicated.
Reinvent for all the time that we spent just planning for the ascent. It's the chance that we awaited.
A new beginning, feel the engine spinning. The life we always knew we would have is coming true.
And what once was sorrow's now a new tomorrow.
If we take the chance we get, then there's nothing to regret.
Now we're climbing high in this life together. The clouds are rearranging, and clear blue skies we can see forever. All we need is coming true, and I'm glad my co-pilot is you.
Leave that life behind, start over here, build the life we dreamed of.
All the things I believed we would have one day, I now can say are here and ours. Now we're climbing high in this life together. The clouds are rearranging, and clear blue skies we can see forever. All we need is coming true, and I'm glad my co-pilot is you.
Shortly after the move, Betty and Don have their first son, Scott, and Don's priorities shift from his dream of flying forever to being a father. As Don goes to check on Scott, who is napping in his bedroom, he notices a wall of model airplanes that they've built together that hangs so proudly in his bedroom.
See him running through the aisles. His eyes are open wide. Precious laugh and innocent smile, and I'm here by his side. So many memories and days that I miss, so we create moments of pure happiness like this. A father and his son. See him running through the aisles, looking for the one. Digging through the infinite piles until the search is done. He picks out his favorite, the one that I fly, and then we'll build it together at home, him and I. Then he'll fly around the living room couch, building wings of our own. They might be pieces of wood, but they remind me of the father I must be. When I'm gone, he can play with those pieces of wood, for they remind him of the father I try to be. So I'll give him wings and a little piece of me. Home again, we open the box. His eyes are filled with joy. He looks at me and smiles while he talks about his brand new toy. To him it is real, and he's just like me, a captain who flies over mountains and sea, so free. A life there in the clouds, building wings of our own. They might be pieces of wood, but they remind me of the father I must be. When I'm gone, he can play with those pieces of wood, but they remind him of the father I try to be. So I'll give him wings and a little piece of me. I see myself in his complexion, deep inside in his reflection, in the twinkle in his eyes. Building wings of our own. They might be pieces of wood, but they remind me of the father I must be. When I'm gone, he can play with those pieces of wood, for they remind me of the father I need to be. So I'll give him wings and a little piece of me. Yes, I'll give him wings and a little piece of me.
Through the first act, the audience follows 3 timelines. As we watch Betty and Dawn's love story unfold, we simultaneously see Betty later in life in an abusive marriage with her second husband, Doug, and a grown son, Scott. We also see a separate love story between Adam and Jill, a young interfaith couple, Adam being Christian and Jill being proudly Jewish. Though it is unclear through the first act how these timelines actually connect, the stories collide in an Act 1 finale that culminates in the turning point of the show. Dawn's flight crashes and leaves Betty widowed, with a choice to deal with her grief or go on autopilot and find the next husband for her children. At the same time, in this overlapping scene, we see the aftermath of Betty's decisions at a Christmas dinner. Betty and her second husband, Doug, host their younger son, Adam, and girlfriend, Jill, and their older son, Sot. After these scenes and timelines crash into each other, the audience is launched into Act 2 to witness the aftermath of Betty's decisions following the crash. So Jill confronts Adam outside of the Christmas dinner after being completely blindsided by Doug's inappropriate comments and the tension between Doug and Scott, which culminates in a fight. Jill also takes note of the anti-Semitic undertones of Betty's reaction to learning that Jill is Jewish. And to all of this, Adam replies with his typical response, "It's fine." You walk between the raindrops, staying fully dry, pretending that the sky's not pouring. You walk between the raindrops, and I can't comprehend how you can just pretend the sun's shining. I feel the downpour, but your head's stuck in the clouds, or you would actually see that you walk between the raindrops. You walk between the raindrops while everyone gets soaked. Is this some silly joke? You're clueless. You walk between the raindrops. When did you decide you'd bury it inside? The feelings you hide there will stay with you. You can't ignore the issues that you keep from me while you walk between the raindrops. You walk between the raindrops, trying to deflect, and somehow you expect I'll change you. You walk between the raindrops, and I'm here soaking wet, dripping with regret. I let you steal my heart completely. You know I love you deeply, but I might have to leave and let you walk between the raindrops.
In Scott's childhood bedroom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe. Can you hear me when I call out your name? Can you hear me? Just look what we became. It's such a lie. Pretend and I. Can you hear me? I wish you were here. Can you hear me? Sometimes I feel you near, but I know you're gone. And they all moved on. I say your name, and he sees it as a threat. You were my world, did they think you'd just forget? It's like you were never even here. She let your memory disappear, but now I'll try to keep you alive. We built airplanes, me and you, son and father bound with glue. Back then I never knew what I would miss. When I look up at the sky and see an airplane passing by, I think of you. I don't know if they do. We built airplanes out of wood, favorite memories of childhood. Who could have guessed it'd lead to this? She still keeps them in my room, surrounded by the gloom that she ignores, all behind closed doors. You're nowhere to be found, left you buried in the ground. We don't speak of you at all, just because he feels so small. I can't take another day of her locking you away. Now the memories are so dim since she traded you for him.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe. We built airplanes hung with string. I think those airplanes don't mean a thing, but I will not forget you like they did. And I refuse to become hateful, mean, and numb. I have to try to keep you alive.
Meanwhile, because Betty chose to go on autopilot, she has to deal with the consequences of choosing a narcissistic, manipulative, and abusive second husband. But through it all, Betty has had one person by her side, someone who witnessed the aftermath of her choices to not face her emotions in full. Eleanor, her first stewardess friend on her first flight for TWA when she met Dawn. White picket fence, a tended lawn, and 2 boys of your own. It's what you wished, it's what you want, and how could you have known? This life has sacrifices, and you'd end up alone. Behind the glass, it's a picture-perfect life. It's time you start facing where you've landed. I know you didn't plan to end up here. Who could predict the wind would push you this way? Yet here you are. But you don't have to stay. It's time you start living how you pictured the life that you told me years ago. I know you're convinced that there is no way out, so here you are. But what's this really about? So maybe you've lost sight, and now you think you're trapped. You think you've chosen right. Pretend until you just adapt. Well, I can see you're hurting, so you can stop averting. I know you always claim you haven't changed, but can't you see? Don't you remember all the good days? Wondering about our future lives. Dreams of new carpet and dining room chairs. Just consider how this compares. You thought you'd be here with someone different, someone who made you feel that glow. And I understand you did what had to be done. You stuck it out. But do you think you've really won? So need change. Speak up and use your voice. It doesn't have to be this way. Hear me out, you have to listen. An easy path is not a given. Give yourself a chance to heal. Make the choice to feel. You need to try. It's time you start living the way you need to. And give yourself the love that you deserve. You don't have to act like it'll all be okay. Hear me now. You don't have to stay.
Amidst his relationship turmoil, Adam receives a call from Cynthia, Don's sister, who he never knew existed. She tells him that his grandmother, Don's mother, passed away and asks him to come to the funeral. This is the string that unravels the mystery of his past and who Don was. And going to visit Cynthia for the first time with Jill might be the thing that he needs to get off his own autopilot.
Donnie, Adam, you look just like him. Scott, Jill, come in. Can I take a seat? What can I get you? Water, coffee, tea, snacks?
I think we're good for now.
Thank you, Aunt Cynthia.
You'll let me know if you want anything later.
Of course.
I'm so glad you came yesterday. Your grandma would have been so happy. She wore a necklace with the two of you inside, you know. Never took it off. She missed you more than anything.
I vaguely remember seeing her over the summers when we were little, but I don't think I ever realized she was my grandma.
Why didn't she visit when we were older?
Your mother wanted nothing to do with us after Dawn passed.
Why not?
We weren't very kind to each other. It doesn't matter anymore. We ended up losing him far before he passed. He and Betty like to be the four of you, without anyone else in the picture. But we never welcomed her in either, so. Then they left for California so fast.
They moved because of his promotion?
That's right. I tried to call Betty a year after the move, but she didn't return my call. I can't believe how much of your lives I've missed. If I could do it again, I would have listened to what my brother needed a little more. However, look at us now. We finally have this. May his memory be a blessing.
Jill notices the saying.
Do you have any pictures?
Oh, shame upon him. I've got more than just pictures. We'll start with this.
Cynthia gets up to grab a photo album.
I made this after he died. Memories and keepsakes. Adam, you look exactly like him on this one. Well, before he got his nose job.
Cynthia takes a specific picture out of the album and hands Adam the picture.
He got a nose job?
Donnie was a lot of things. Vane was one of them.
Scott reaches out a piece of paper in the album.
What's this?
That's the crash report. My brother's last words are on there. He had to do these training flights but to become a senior captain. TWA didn't use the simulators they have now, so no one did then. But anyway, they were down in 7 seconds. All 4 pilots died. It's all in there. That's the last thing he said. We're over. Oh, it was just the beginning for you too. I mailed a copy of this to your mother, but who knows if she read it.
Cynthia notices Jill's necklace. It's a Jewish star.
We're Jewish too.
What?
This Jewish star on your necklace. I gave Donnie a lot of crap for marrying a shiksa. See? Another thing I could have been nicer about. Listen, I got a whole box of things. Sit, look through this book. There's so many good memories in there. I'll be right back.
Do you want a hand?
You think I'm too old to carry a box? You're right, it's heavy. Come on.
They start to look around the house for other pictures of Don.
I've spent a lot of time worrying about those two. To lose your father so young, I really think Scott should have seen a therapist.
Why didn't he?
Betty? She would have never even thought about it. Everything must be perfect in her life. That's why after Dawn died, she picked the first man she could marry with money. He'd be their new father, and she could start over like it never happened. Scott always told me how terrible it was in that house.
What do you imagine happened to Adam?
Here it is.
Cynthia finds a huge box of Don's old keepsakes. She pulls out his pilot's hat from the box. On the brim of the hat, she points to a pin.
A pin?
His wings.
Jill holds the wings.
I don't see a ring, so I'm assuming girlfriend?
For now. He's just learning about Dawn. I can't believe he was Jewish.
It's important to you?
Yeah, it is, but I don't know what to do.
Judaism is a mix of tradition, community, and loving kindness. You don't have to be Jewish to celebrate those things, but if you want a Jewish family, he has to want one too. All I'll say is his father was Jewish, so those values are in his blood. I think it's about time he gets to know his father, don't you?
Where do I fit into that?
Oh, Shana Funham, love is a beam of light in grief. Both can exist.
In the living room, Adam and Scott are looking through the photo album.
I just know it, looking at you. You'll find out who he was. You have each other, and you have me too. You're safe with me because I'm not afraid to keep saying his name. Now you can choose, it is yours to reclaim what you've lost. Now it's up to you. Building wings of your own. Take the lessons you've learned to move ahead, move through what is past. You don't have much to lose, for the memories that faded and things you've forgotten, still time keeps moving fast. So just use your wings to bring him home at last. I can see it clear as the day. They'll make it back to you. I held my breath till I heard them say they know what they must do. This is the time when they'll find you again. A father, a captain, my brother, my friend, here you stay. Forever in our hearts, building wings of your own. I remember the days when you said you were free, but that came at a cost. They will learn what is true. They'll uncover the stories of all that they missed. No bridges left uncrossed. They will use your wings to find what they have lost. I gave them your wings. They'll find what they have lost. Before our last song, I'd like to take a moment to thank a few very important people who made this all happen and allowed our show to grow some wings of its own. I did that on purpose. So. Thank you to Hollis Shackner and Danny Berkman so much for making this my home always and letting us bring this back to your community. Thank you to all of our sound and setup crew, specifically John, and thank you to Marissa. Thank you to all of our crew here who helped make this happen and set this up for us. Thank you to our performers who dedicated themselves to giving this show a voice. Thank you to all of our other supporters, and to Jack over there in the back, thank you again. Thank you to all of our other supporters who have contributed in so many ways. You can all find them on the back of your program. And finally, thank you to all of you for showing up tonight, even on the live stream. This show is so important now more than ever to be shared with communities everywhere. So if you or someone you know feels inclined to donate or connect with the show or pass it along to someone who you think might be interested, please do. You can scan our QR code. It's on the back side of your playbill. That'll take you to our website where you can find a contact page, a link to our GoFundMe, a way to kind of follow the show as it continues to grow its wings. If you are interested in helping with the development of the show, please do not hesitate to reach out to get more information. You can get our pitch deck, our demos, any other materials that might be worth it. So, as we reach the resolution of our show, Betty has come to terms with her past and the destruction she's caused, not only for herself, but the people she also loves. She finds the words, a powerful show-stopping number, which you can hear once our show is funded. So funded, yeah. Betty finally finds the courage to face her emotions and confront her sons. That is when Dawn is finally remembered.
Mom?
I need to talk to you.
Come in.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I was just heading out.
Oh, you can stay. I'd actually like you to hear this too. I want to tell you about your father, Don.
There's a chance your plane could change direction.
I was a stewardess on his crew.
Before the wheels touch the ground.
After my first flight, he took me to a baseball game.
Before you miss the connection.
We were so in love.
Take the chance to stop and look around. With the baggage left unclaimed, you'll never be the same. So take the chance for shifting gears. After automatic years, you can fly it. Don't stay on autopilot. It's time that you take control. You decide which way to go. You can fly it. Don't stay on autopilot. Life might change your destination to a place you don't want to explore. One day you're planning for a vacation, then suddenly you've landed in a storm. But then you have to choose. Do you default or face the truth? Take the chance for shifting gears. After automatic years, you can fly. Don't stay on autopilot. It's time that you take control. You decide which way to go. You can fly. Don't stay on autopilot. This is your captain speaking. 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 Take the chance for shifting gears. After automatic years, you can fly. Don't stay on autopilot. It's time that you take control. You decide which way to go. You can fight. Don't stay on autopilot.
Thank you so much. We could do a little Q&A if you guys are interested. So we'll take a seat, and then we maybe can pass the microphone around and hear some questions.
Absolutely. So my system cannot take all the tears and goosebumps right now. I'm a little on meltdown. But if people have thoughts to share or questions to ask, it's an amazing opportunity to connect with these incredible artists. So I turn it over to you.
This is a true story about my family. I am named after Donald Sclaren. His last name was Sclaren, but my middle name is Danielle, so I'm named after him. It's, I would say, 90% a true story. There are some liberties taken throughout the plot, but it's a true story. And I think that starting at 14, I wrote my first musical. And after that, I knew that this was the story that I wanted to tell at some point in my life. And it took me about a decade to figure out how I was going to tell the story, because it's so many years to cover. And there's a combination of the younger generations and the older generations, and I didn't know how long I wanted to cover, because obviously the story is still continuing. So it's a true story, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to tell it. So yeah.
It's really fantastic. The lyrics, the arrangement, the presentation, it's phenomenal. Say a little bit more about the Jewish identity aspect to it, please.
So, yes. So one of the reasons why I wanted, yeah.
It's a little hard, I think, for us,
Yeah.
We're not hearing
Right.
all the dialogue.
Right.
And that makes it a little difficult to put all this together.
Totally.
So, I mean, for example, at the beginning of the play, we learn that John's not happy with his Jewish identity. We don't know why.
Yeah.
But say a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think part of the show, we try to find each character's autopilot, right? Why does each character go on autopilot? This idea of kind of not phoning it in, but just allowing themselves to move forward without really processing, right? And so part of Don's autopilot is running away from his Jewish identity. And that is due to mostly his perception of what it means to be Jewish. And, TWA, like a lot of Highlands weren't really Jewish, and it wasn't really widely celebrated, I want to say, at the time that he was, dealing with all this. So that's part of it. That's part of the Jewish identity story. And Betty was raised in a small town. She didn't understand the Jewish aspect of his life. And so part of it was him allowing Betty's ignorance to kind of push him away from his Judaism. And also the other side of the Jewish story in Autopilot is really Adam and Jill's love story and finding what it means to be in an interfaith relationship. And through Act 1, you see this young couple. You don't really know how they're related, but you see this young couple going through a very real struggle about what it means to be in an interfaith relationship. They're in college, they're figuring it out, right? And later in the show, when Adam finds that he is half Jewish, his father was Jewish, it's him being compelled to raise a Jewish family, and he actually goes to Betty and says, I'm raising a Jewish family, whether you like it or not. And he decides with Jill that this is something that's going to be important to them. So you have the two sides of Jewish fear and Jewish joy, and the idea of embracing your Jewish identity or running away from it, which I think is something that is so relevant right now. So especially with young people right now in college and at that developing time in their life, to not know if they want to embrace their Jewish identity or run away from it. It's a very real thing that people are struggling with. I think everyone here struggles with at some point. And so I think they make the choice by the end to embrace their Jewish identity.
Thanks for explaining.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's a wonderful theme. Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
What time period is the play set in? You mentioned TWA.
Yes. It is long gone. So it starts in the 1950s and goes all the way into the 90s. Is that correct? Yeah, in the 90s. So Don flew for TWA in the 50s. He passed away in 1971. I want to say he was 39 when he passed. So my dad was 2 years old, and Scott was 7 years old. So you heard Scott counting to 7, all the voices in the back. So a kind of through line throughout the show is 7 is a very prominent number. Don flew a 707, and he was down in 7 seconds. There's kind of all these sevens, which is actually very Jewish,
Jewish,
which
I was
is
just
like,
about to
you
bring
know,
that up,
very
yes.
Jewish. But there's this number 7, and so Scott starts counting to 7 as his almost emotional tick to kind of cope with the trauma. So it takes place, Act 1 starts in the 50s all the way to present day in the 90s. Yeah. Adam is my dad. Yeah. Oh, gosh. This is such a good question. No, it's okay. Part of the reason... Oh, yes, sorry. The question was, how does my family feel about this show being told? I grew up with a very complicated relationship with my dad. And I think through finding this story and realizing how it needs to be told, it's actually... made me see him in a very different light and appreciate him for who he is. And for that reason, there's a lot of harsh realities that this show kind of puts them on blast a bit. And I think because of that, the truth and the authenticity and the rawness of what this is has actually kind of brought us closer together. And it's hard for them to, my parents are not together anymore. And so we just did a reading a few weeks back, and my mom and dad were on the Zoom call watching together, and to see them watch their own love story, knowing what the future is, what the ending of the real story is, I mean, it's a lot to process. But I think we all know that it's from the capacity of we're sharing a story that is ultimately healing and hopeful. And it does end with Betty learning to process her feelings, which is actually kind of a diversion from the truth. So we wanted to, well, no, I know, right? So it would have been a more sad show if she didn't end with a little bit of hope. But yeah, she learns to process her grief in this show. And I honestly don't even think my grandmother knows she hasn't processed her grief. So I think for her, she thinks she's watching the story that's already happened, but I think my whole family knows that it's a bit, that's the 10%. That's not based on truth. Yeah.
This is a question to Zal.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. First of all, you were absolutely terrific.
He's amazing. Yes.
You complimented her. I mean, just unbelievable. So my question is twofold. How did you come to the role? How did how did Lexi recruit you, or how did you end up in this role? And are you going to stay with production as in Bruce Bowen?
I'll start with question number 2 first. That's not up to me. That's up to the other people on the creative team, including her. And I hope the answer is yes. But I have no say in the matter. So question number 1, I was one of the leads of Harmony on Broadway, written by Barry Manilow. I don't know if anyone in here saw it or not. I played the founder of the comedian Harmonist in the show, and shortly after we closed, I got an email, literally an email from Lexi to my email address, not even to my agents. She found my email address.
I stalked you online.
She stalked me.
So
She told me she stalked me,
yeah.
and she sent me an email. And honestly, as an actor, I get emails of readings and workshops. I just got one last week. I ended up turning it down. And the reason why, compared to this, is, Lexi sent me a few demos, and I don't remember if it was the full script or just a synopsis, but there was something very interesting, and I loved the music. The music felt so polished, not even knowing her age, and that it was, just out of university. It sounded like a Broadway score. And I was like, I have to sing this. I have to dive into it. And then the only other thing that is really interesting, I truly knew nothing about the show and didn't know anything. Then I got the full script. I think maybe I asked for the full script because before I do a show, I would want to know what the part is, what the story that we're telling is. And I read it. And I wrote back to Lexi, and I accepted, and I told her, she had no idea, a really crazy, my family story. My dad is a big scuba diver, was a big scuba diver, he's alive, was a big scuba diver. He was in the Florida Keys, went down with, it was him and 3 other friends, his best friend, 2 other guys, and they did a wreck dive, and they got caught in the wreck, and the 3 other gentlemen passed away, and my dad was the only one who lived. and to tell this story of 4 men. I don't know if you all heard it, but 4 men died in the plane crash. Obviously, Don did not survive, but it's almost me getting, in a weird way as an actor, to explore what the other version of my life story would be if my dad did not make it out. And also, almost like what Lexi said, I don't really know of any shows that talk about the aftermath of grief. You see a lot of shows of people dying on stage, but you don't really see what happens generations later. And for our family friends and their kids who are now adults, it's really a touching part for me to get to explore that side of it. So that's my way into the story. Yeah.
And I just want to shout out that you just had a new baby.
Oh yeah,
I have.
When I first did this reading, I had 1 child, a girl, and I just had a boy. Thank you. He's 4 months old now, and when we did a brush-up rehearsal, because we hadn't sung this in about a year. We did the reading, I don't know, about 10 months ago or something, and then we did a brush-up rehearsal when I got to the lyric about a father and his son in just Jeremy, who's, by the way, guys, Jeremy is one of the most incredible musical director pianists, so wanted to acknowledge that, but I got to that lyric about father and his son and just like completely hit me emotionally in a way that now that I'm a father, it does. So, to a son, but yeah.
Lexi, can you talk a little about your process? Because you do it all, so like, what's the order? Is it always the same?
Oh, that's a good question. The question was, what is my process, my writing process? So I have always written book music and lyrics. I've always done that my whole life. But I have to say, I am the most grateful that I have a team with me now. There's something wonderful about writing alone in your room and just like cranking it out, but there's some magic that happens when you have the right team with you. So I started by writing the book music and lyrics, and then I brought on one of my best friends who actually directed my second musical, Elsewhere. I've known him since kindergarten, and we grew up together, and he's an actor, he's also a director, and we just like, we're magic together in our collaboration. He's also a book writer. So he has helped me on the dramaturgy of the show, the book writing on the show. And then I did a workshop for a developing show and met Jeremy. We were both on the music team together. And Jeremy and I just like automatically clicked. And I brought Jeremy into a reading in October of last year, so a little bit over a year ago. And the magic between Jeremy, Matthew, and I like, I've never felt anything like it in the room. It's unreal, like what we can get done. You want to talk about it?
If I may. I am fortunate that I get to do a lot of developing work. It's an unexpected passion that I found, and I work with a lot of awesome composers. And it's not normal to work with a composer who is so open to collaboration and ideas from all avenues.
Especially being a family story. Like,
yes.
Add that as a level of, it's precious to her, given how emotional it is inside, but
Yeah.
she is so open to all the suggestions that we've been exploring.
Absolutely. And so Lexi approached me first to just music direct the show, and we did that, gosh, so long ago now.
Long ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I just came in, and you never know what the environment is going to be. I get your score, you wrote the music, it's very great. I can provide suggestions or ideas, but and then Lexi approached me and was like, "Hey, can you help me with this idea?" And approached it that way, and that has blossomed into this really incredible collaboration where we can sit in a room for 3 hours, and we're like, "Great, these are our 3 trouble spots we want to look at," and she's completely open to every idea, and then it's like, "What if it's this?" And then I throw in, "What if it's this?" And it's a collaboration like I've never experienced before. So she was very humble just now, but that is a big thing for someone who built a baby, right? Like, this is your child that you created. Yeah. And it's been an awesome collaboration for me. So.
Well, I just want to also say something about the process, which is kind of goes off of what you said. The show has changed so much. We've had like probably 6 different iterations of the story itself. It has changed and changed and changed. So much so that in our last reading, part of the process is it's called a 29-hour reading. So we've done 2 of these. One was the one with Zal most recently, and we basically have a week to put up a reading on music stands and learn all the music, all the script, and just do it for a small audience. And we started the week with the first run of the show, just a cold read of the show. And Jeremy looked at me and was like, hey, okay, so Lexi, we're missing 3 songs. Can you go get a practice room in this building, go write these songs, and come back to me, and I'll teach them tomorrow. I was like, great. So I went to the desk. I said, I need a room for a few hours. They rented me a room, and I wrote TWA in 20 minutes. I wrote, the other one was This Dress, which you didn't hear tonight. It's Doug's Act 2 big dance number. And then I had one more. I don't remember the other one. I don't remember. It was some sort of solo, but I don't remember what it was. Yeah. So that's
Lemonade.
part of the
It was
process.
Lemonade. The duet,
so
Lemonade.
Lemonade used to be a quartet with Adam, Jill, and Betty and Dawn, and it was supposed to be this, like, they're all at dinner together, but they're in their separate dates, and they're all singing at the same time. It was called Butterflies Took Flight, and it's a beautiful song. It just didn't work. Like, it just wasn't right for the moment. It wasn't working. It wasn't beneficial for the show in that moment. And Zal looked at me and was like, why is there not a song about lemons in the bowl? Like, this is such a big
because
part
it was
of
in
it.
the script. It was in the script, and there was
It's in the script, and part of Betty's idea about, like, the lemons in the bowl, it's true. She has a lemon bowl on her table, and it is always pristine. It is always perfect, and it's part of her identity. Like, everything is image-based. Everything is based on the appearance, right? And so Zal looked at me, he's like, why is there no song about lemons in the bowl? And you're like, that's the love song. So I wrote Lemonade in 20 minutes at midnight with Matthew in the room. I was writing, and I was like, Matthew, sing this. And he sang it, and I was saying the other part, and we recorded it and sent it to our music assistant who transcribed it. Yeah, it was insane. And I also want to give a shout out to Jeremy, because when I wrote TWA, we transcribed the Devin, our music assistant, who's incredible, transcribed the music that night. Then Jeremy vocal arranged all of those parts you hear, and we taught it a day later. So it's like, I want to give, like, a massive props. So that's, yeah.
So where are you at now? You have producers, you're looking for producers,
Oh, that's such a good question. Where are we at now? So we have been having a lot of meetings with a lot of different kinds of people. We've been, like, picked up, I don't want to say picked up, but we've been approached by some regional theaters who are interested in putting this on. Thank you. Who are interested in putting this on. And right now we're trying to figure out if there's going to be a possible co-production this summer at a few different regional theaters around the country. Seeing if we can make that happen for this summer. It might be a little bit of a tight timeline, but definitely getting this up on its feet is really our next step. Talks with producers. We're looking for a lead producer right now, looking for, obviously, backers and people who can make this show happen. But yeah, we're like, it feels like we're, like, on a train chugging along, just making those small steps every time. So yeah.
Couple questions. So did Betty ever leave her abusive?
She did. She left. Yeah, Betty left her. It was a lot later. In life. It was in, 1998, I want to say. It was after the show ended, after the timeline of the show ended. So took her a while.
So I'm just trying to understand, like, your life. So is this your full-time work for everybody, or do you have 85 other jobs?
I don't sleep, is really the answer to that. The question was, what do I do with my life because I'm doing all of this? I am a full-time music specialist at a synagogue in Larchmont, New York. I work there 6 days a week. I do a combination of nursery school music, religious school music, Friday night services, Saturday morning services, B'nai Mitzvah tutoring. The list goes on. So I do a lot there. In my spare time, which I don't really have. I do musical theater writing. I'm also working on a documentary about the rise of anti-Semitism, and I'm working on a screenplay that's in development as well. So I don't ask how many hours are in a day. Would you like to touch on that?
My calendar is color coded.
Yeah.
I think the like young person in New York thing is you generally have a couple things going on all at once, and you do your best to make that work, and then you get overbooked and you got to cut things out, but you also have to pay rent. Yeah. So I typically am sitting around 4 or 5 jobs at the same time, and you just have lots of emails and lots of calendar to look at. I have been active to make sure that all of those are within music for myself. I can only speak for me. And it's, you meet people and they bring you on to their next project, so.
And I do have to say, part of it is you make time for the things that matter. So if you are drawn to a project, if you are passionate about a project, it becomes your priority no matter what. Yeah.
I don't have multiple jobs going at once. I have 2 jobs. I am a Broadway actor and TV film as well. And I do like property management, real estate work, which is a family business. And I had no intention of getting in that career, but then decided that when I was young and starting out and I'm no longer young, but when I was a young New Yorker trying to figure out how to pay rent, I was like, I'm going to get into the family business. That makes a lot more sense than waiting tables and catering. And so I support family, and I live in New Jersey in a house, and I support myself with both careers. So I have the flexibility with that career to allow me to do things like this when jobs come. Yeah.
The question was, did Berkeley educate us in how to like develop a show really through the process? Would you guys like to? The short answer is no. The short answer is no. They taught us a lot about the writing process, a lot about the how to write the I Want song and how to write the conflict
scene. That's not the business. That's not the business.
It's just not the business. A lot of this, I did a lot of my own digging. A lot of it was just carving the path for myself, really. And I was talking to Zal and what?
I was going to bring it up, but you said.
Yeah, I was talking to Zal and Jeremy and Ryan in the car. I said, I am not scared to like send the cold email and network and like pave the way for myself. And that's so much of this industry. You just have to be willing to take the risk. Like I reached out to Zal on a whim. I reached out to, these really big people, and I emailed agents and I emailed producers, and like it's so much part of the game is just not being scared to just go for it. I've self-produced 2 workshops, which no one should ever do. No one should ever write and then self-produce at the same time. That's way too much work for anybody. But you have to, because that's how things happen. And so a lot of times you just have to do it yourself until you reach that next step. So it was a lot of learning by keeping my ears open and really trying to give myself the experience on whatever I could.
It's ultimately not something that Lexi will do by herself, but something that I've been very impressed as an actor who has developed shows that have come to New York from the development stage. As a writer, she's probably one of the most business savvy people I have seen and met. Just to know even elsewhere, which I found on Spotify when you emailed me, and I was like, who is Lexi Weekly? And I listened to it, and I was like, the orchestrations and the quality of that production value, it was clear that she is someone who is a go-getter and that she will make things happen. And that has been clear from the day that I got involved to today. So I think that's something I'm very impressed with Lexi about.
Thank you. And in the long term, after like I've had a writing career, all that stuff, I do really enjoy producing. So like I could see myself way down the line, possibly producing another project or being on the production side of things. Also, I really enjoy the work, so.
Thank you. So nothing that you do should surprise us now. Lexi, honestly, I'm sitting here shaking, like I'm physically just undone by all of this. And I want to thank you again. I want to just note that for the folks in this room who obviously are here because Judaism is important to you, the themes of the show and your willingness to bring the vulnerability of your own personal story into the space of the theater world and the deeply Jewish themes of it that you treat with such respect in all of their complexity is absolutely astonishing. And astonishing beyond that is just the fact that you are all the things you are, that you can, to write and to be able to score and to be able to put lyrics to this, to tell your story, and then to be able to sing it the way that you do. I just want to just name.
I don't usually
unfair distribution of talent in one human being. I object. But I also celebrate at the same time. I mean, you're a hero, Lexi, truly. And I want to thank our folks from Berkeley who I think you guys have to know, they put this together on a hot second, right? You guys are amazing. It's not like they had months of rehearsals. This just happens because of the team that pulls it together. So you guys have to give real credit to
we literally
music
started
direction.
singing with them like 3 hours ago. We never sung together. So
Yes.
like the fact that they put this together and sound like this, like
yes.
Well done.
Huge, 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 huge. Huge. And Jeremy, for you to be able to bring, your perspective in these comments is wonderful, but just listening to your voice, I had the privilege of sitting in the rehearsal and watching your leadership, and I would follow you anywhere. I mean, you're amazing, truly, on every level. On every level. And Zal, I sat in the nosebleed seats and watched you in the band's visit. So to be able to sit here, having seen you on Broadway in another, fabulous, incredible production that I can't stop thinking about, and then to realize that you were in it, I might have been in the last row, so to sit in this space up close and get to see you, I am learning so much. So thank you for the gift of coming up, sharing your voice, bringing your soul to all of us tonight. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming.
Thank you. And the last thing I'm going to say, Lexi, again, your music still lives here. So remember that Lexi has one foot in the Jewish world as well as one foot in the theater world, and you have left your imprint here with the music we still continue to sing. Thank you so, so deeply. Let's have a big round of applause.
I live in Maplewood. I grew up in Westfield. I live in Maplewood. You live in... So my uncle lived in Livingston. They went to Cushner Academy. I grew up in Westfield.
leave that down. That's my job. We're trying to figure out how to navigate bringing Levi home because Ezra will be coming from Israel. And we're going to be coming, flying in from California. We're going to be in New York, picking him up from the airport, but it takes the same day. We have to bring Levi home. No, we're just going to have family pick him up because it's. It'll take a couple days. I know it does. I know. Have you met Ezra? Well, thank you. Really cool. No, so what we're doing, we're going to be arriving. Yeah, we're going to. So we're combining it, and I have family there in New York. And so we're going to bring him down. Oh yeah, Yala hasn't given us the information yet. But we're going to send her honors. She's there right now. This is why I really hate it. What? Well, there's got to be different feedback. I'll give that feedback before. Yeah. Well, that's good to know because I can give that also. No, he is, but that's really good. That's really interesting. Thank you so much. I know. So we're flying out of Newark, and these people know we're going to fly out of Newark right away. That's going to be interesting, but I will take it different right now and get it right. But it's the same thing.
Nice. All right, sign up. Sent you the email. Did you? Yeah. Make sure. Sorry.
Oh, Jenna. No, I see you. Two things. Is the blood that we see my thing? Zero things. I want to do this and then I realized it's zero.
Yeah, no, I keep looking at watch.
Oh, I think you emailed me. Yeah, I just haven't gotten it.
There's the one, and it's too bad the 1 year you took off from softball is the year we won the championship. 2 points.
Not 10 a week. Not 10, 12. No, literally, they were like, all right, pick up
Oh,
that's
yeah.
February. Okay, I'm not kidding. We have plans. We're going to drop
Thanksgiving that one week,
Yeah.
and then all
Okay. Yeah, so drop off. And then morning, 5:15, morning, like, is the.
You give me the keys, I can come
Yeah.
back. What do you
And
get
then I'm
tonight?
thinking about moderating.
Oh,
He could, if he wants to, he can choose whether it's free or not.
no, we're away.
Whatever works. Okay. Yeah. I knew you'd get some. I'm excited. Yeah. Fair enough.
Where'd Benny run off to?
The main office.
And my thing was the blood drive is shouting out. We have like 3 of us and we're going to go like 3. Yeah, is it on the TV?
I might get one of these.
On the borders level, they said a lot of it was like, it's like Syria. They said temporarily, then we want to make sure that one pushes over. It's not a long time.
That's so good.
On a Sunday morning?
And then what did it go to my face? Did you watch this?
I mean, he moves, They have the express shuttle. They have the equivalent of the long express.
sometimes